I hereby call to order this special called meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Announcements, awards, special recognition. We have none this morning. Public comment.
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have 6 individuals signed up to speak. The first person signed up is Hung Kin To.
Good morning. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning. After this, I would like to speak to the judge in person. And then what happened was, in the past, since 2024, I've been arrested for 4 times in different circumstances. I was told that afterward I don't have to come to arraignment for argument for whether guilty or not, whether I get my arraignment back. And recently I've received a 4 letter, and I believe that some of the information on the letter are not very accurate. Like they start on one of those account number is 2025 SR-1049, and what it is on the bottom of the Sun report, it says CC closed caption. It say my sister name, and then in the bottom, the person I never knew, it say Tamika Dennis, and then from one thing leads to another, it doesn't make sense. So I would like to speak to the judge and speak to counsel regarding on the report that I shouldn't. What happened with last night, my sister consistently harassed me about going to Raymond, get the money back. I come to the point where I called the police. And then when I talked to the police, he said, you have to go to Raymond. And then the officers said that the court of Fayetteville is behind the sheriff's office. So I was told that rumor has it that's not true. So I'm wondering if I can speak to the judge regarding on the situation and get resolution and get it done over with. So if I speak to your counsel personally or who I can, I appreciate it. And I have a lot of information. I even have check of it. It doesn't even make sense. Some of them, it say January to 2025. It's not even supposed to be. Let's just say that it's not very accurately. So I'd like to speak to the judge after this thing, so we can resolve it and get it over and move on.
Thank you.
Next person signed up to speak is Kimberly Shansky.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, Council.
And come right up to that microphone. Thank you, Kimberly. You can move
you hear
it to
me?
be.
You can put it down.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning. My name's Kimberly Shansky. Thank you for allowing me to speak regarding the burn ban that's on the agenda today. I live in Smoke Rise on a 1-acre lot. We do have a lot of beautiful, large trees in our neighborhood. And even though they are healthy, they still are constantly gifting us branches and leaves and other debris that we have to keep clean. You can only really pile up so many branches in the woods and around the house before you start creating fire hazards and housing encampments for rodents and other wildlife, and just also creating an overly unsightly mess. Having a larger property gives us more space from our neighbors. On 1-acre lots, there's more space and less risk of affecting your neighbors when burning, and we also do have open communication with our neighbors. There's also the financial burden to consider. Our trash service currently does charge extra for pickup, and some services do say that it can be added to the cans, but as a family of 5, we don't have the space for it, so we do have to pay extra. I believe that part of any community is compromise and allowing for people to take care of what they need to take care of on their property. And I believe there are alternatives to a full ban, such as possibly limits to permits or certain burn days, or limiting to houses over 1 acre or properties with a certain number of trees. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Staisha Bannerman.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and the members of the council. My name is Staisha Bannerman. I'm going to speak regarding the full burn ban. Me and my family, we live on a 1.1 acre property in the Smoke Rise neighborhood. Most of our land is heavily wooded. We have over 150 large trees on our property. Because of this, we routinely receive visits from wildlife that move through our natural forested backyard. In order to prevent these animals from becoming long-term residents or nesting close to our home, we must regularly walk our property and clear the fallen sticks, limbs, and tree debris. With the number of trees that we have, these debris accumulate quickly, and we are constantly needing to find a safe and responsible ways to discard it. The total burn ban has impacted our ability to manage this natural waste. Without the option to burn small amounts of fallen debris a few times a year, our only alternative is to pay for disposal services. This is an unexpected and ongoing expense that has affected our family's budget. I fully understand and respect the health concerns associated with burning, especially for residents with respiratory issues. However, our situation is unique in that the homes in our neighborhood and surrounding us are spaced far apart, and we all are on large lots of at least 1 acre. We, in particular, have no backyard neighbors directly behind us. Controlled limited burns on larger wooded properties like ours may pose far less risk than in more densely populated ones. I do not claim to have a perfect solution, but I do kindly ask the council to consider whether an adjustment, exemption, or permanent process could be created for residents with large, heavily wooded lots such as ours. Allowing small controlled debris burns a few times a year under clear regulations and safety guidelines would greatly help our families manage natural waste while still respecting the health needs of the broader community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, please.
Angie Mayhorn.
Well, unlike,
Tip the mic up for you.
oh, sorry. Hello, Mayor, Madam Mayor, and fabulous council members. I would just like to say that, unlike my previous 2 ladies, I'm a little more off the cuff. I moved here from Los Angeles, and the reason we moved here was because we loved Georgia, and we loved Georgia's way of thinking. It's very independent. It gives people all the things that California doesn't give. Okay, so that's the bottom line. We like how Georgia is, and the state laws that Georgia has. We fell in love with Peachtree City, specifically Smoke Rise. We drove into our lot, and we had the enchanted fairy castle, fairy cottage, with all the trees in front of it. Everybody else had these manicured lawns. We had 1,000 million trees, and it was like, this is awesome. We also realized there was a lot of debris from that, right? And since this ban has occurred, what we've found is that our neighbors have taken one specific one across the way from us, has begun a teepee with sticks in front of his house because he doesn't live there most of the time. It's a second home for him. So he just throws it into a teepee in front of his house. It's awful. What I also love about Georgia is the fact that you can have fireworks and you can have, things that actually cause, like you have to use fire. That's not allowed in California. You can't light a match in your own home without someone coming and giving you a citation, right? This is an amazing place where if you need to have a bonfire in your backyard, nothing catches on fire during the right times because there's so much moisture here, and it's allowed. That's why we can have fireworks, you know? I mean, these are things that, yes, with fireworks, though, you have things like, oh, it's a noise ordinance and whatever. There's always somebody that's going to be upset about something. But in Smoke Rise, we do have large properties. We do have space from our neighbors. There is, you know, need for cleaning up our properties. And I just feel like one of the fundamental reasons we moved here was for the freedoms that are allowed in the state of Georgia that aren't allowed in the state of California. So kind of, you know, lots of other reasons, whatever, but my whole thing is we love it here for who it is and what it is, and those are personal freedoms as long as they're safe, as long as they make sense, and this is something that makes sense. Not to mention, you know, yes, incurred costs from having to deal with that, and quite frankly, a lot of people don't. We have a lot of senior people that are in our neighborhood who have been here a very long time, and they also don't want to incur that cost because, you know, they're on a fixed budget, even though they may live in an area that has, you know, seemingly people think everybody has, you know, the means. As you get older, you have to be particular about things. So that is why some of these people just let everything go. So anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, please.
Pavel Shansky.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and council members. Thanks for giving us a chance to speak. I live with Kimberly, my wife, lovely wife, at 509 Ashley Way on the 1 acre property. And, you know, as the person mostly responsible for driving the stuff to a recycling center, we need the tools. We need the tools to control our land, to make sure wood doesn't get stockpiled. We have the 1 acre lot. I want to add to all the points that other people talked about. If wood gets stockpiled, you know, it's a problem. It's a fire hazard. As people build up different piles, it's a rodent problem. And we're responsible adults. I think most people in Peachtree City are responsible adults, and we need the tools to control our property without the added expense. And really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
The final speaker is Randy Huff.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Randy Huff. I live at 289 Spear Road, Little Creek subdivision. I've been there for 34 years. I have 3.4 acres. When I bought the property, it was considered to be a jungle, okay? A jungle. I had to hack my way through with a machete to find a place to put the pegs in for the builder to figure out where to put my house. We cleared about a quarter of an acre away to site the house. The rest of the jungle was left untouched. Over the last 34 years, I've turned that jungle into what's called a German forest for safety reasons. All trees that were dead were removed under my own steam, along with neighbors working together, and turned it into what I said is something quite impressive right now. I did that for a lot of reasons. I did it expecting grandchildren that could come over and play, ride their lawnmowers, my lawnmowers in there, go-karts, whatever they want. That's all turned out to be a realization for me, and an enjoyable one. All of the trees that were taken down over the time, and I had thousands of them, okay, were burned in bonfires over that 34-year period. Not one complaint was ever received. Not one fire alarm was ever turned in. That was part of the deal here. Those trees have not, now number in the 700-800 that are left. I currently have 4 trees that died and had to be taken down. They're lying on my property, waiting to be for this panel to, this council to make a decision on what to do. If you decide that we still have to take them away and the burning ban is in effect, it will cost me $350 per tree to have it removed to the junkyard. I find that unjust, all right? While the intentions of of the council were good, safety, all those kinds of things. Further investigation should have revealed that large acre lots cannot be put in the same category with half-acre lots or quarter-acre lots. So I'm not interested in continuing to work on the property if I'm going to be forced to take the trash and move it at my expense. I want to burn it. I've done it well for all 34 years. I expect to have the privilege to do it for the next 34 years. Thank you.
For your comment.
Thank you very much. Is that it? Yes, ma'am. All right. Agenda changes, council? No. Minutes, November 20th, 2025, City Council meeting minutes, November 20th, executive session minutes, and December 1st, special called meeting minutes. Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes A, B, and C.
Second. Oh, I'm sorry. Madam Mayor, I'd like to make an amendment to the motion.
Let me ask him to please rescind your motion. Sorry.
Yes,
sorry.
Madam Mayor, I'll rescind my motion.
All right.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes with the changes I had recommended to the city clerk.
I need a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Consent agenda. A, stormwater maintenance agreement. B, new alcohol license at Bicicleta. And C, donation from Bike Walk Fayette. Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agendas, item A, B, and C.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. And with that, we've accepted a $1,000 donation of in-kind materials from Bike Walk Fayette. Thanks very much. Old agenda item A, 112505, alcohol ordinance amendment and fee schedule update. Jasmine?
Yes, good morning, Mayor and Council. At the last work session, at the last council meeting, I presented with to you all some options when it comes to amending the alcohol ordinance. One in particular was to allow for retail consumption on premises, to also allow bottles of alcohol to be sold to take home, wine, excuse me. And then the secondary was sort of a sip and stroll or entertainment district. I don't have an additional presentation for you all at this time, as there has been no additional changes to what was previously presented.
Thank you. Laura?
I'm fine with the first part. If we can separate this, I would love to be able to do that. And then the second one, I'm willing to hear a little bit more from council, but I don't know if I'm ready to vote for this part yet. If we can divide it and table it till possibly next month, I would appreciate it.
Table the second portion?
Yes.
I would support that.
Would you all like for me to state a motion?
Are you ready
Yeah,
for that?
I'm okay to separate this. I think it needs to be done so that we've got two separate issues, one for the corkage of the wine bar, and then, of course, the entertainment district as the second one. So they're totally separate entities to discuss. So I'm in favor of that.
Good too.
What do you need?
Go ahead and state
Okay.
the motion then, I would think.
The motion would be to amend the alcohol ordinance with the proposed amendments to section 6-113 and 6-112, and to table the proposed amendments to the remaining sections.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
I have
Can I ask a question, one question?
I have a motion and a second, and yes, now is a time for discussion and questions.
This is just gonna pertain to selling bottles of wine, correct?
Correct.
I'm trying to clarify. It's gonna allow all restaurants that currently have an alcohol license to sell full unopened bottles of wine, correct?
Very
Correct.
correct.
Okay, just trying to get that kind of just out there.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Old agenda item, 112508, fiscal year 26 budget amendment, sprung structure for Kedron Aquatic Center. Chris?
Good morning. Want to thank everyone for going with us to look at the sprung structures in Jefferson and Chamblee. I think we had a good and informational visit. We're recommending approval of a contract with WM2A Architects to advance this project. Their fee would be $247,500. It's a flat fee, so not a percentage based. And this would get us started on the design of the facility that would replace the bubble. And so what we're looking at, if we approve this today, we would probably have this ready for council to look at the final budget for the overall project somewhere in late March or early April. And then that would have us on target for a June project start. So that's the plan as it stands, but today we're asking for approval to move forward with the architectural services.
Council, let's start with a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve old agenda item 11-25-08, the fiscal year 26 budget amendment for sprung structures for Kedron Aquatic Center in the amount of $247,500.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Council, any final questions or discussion? It was a great
It was great. Only comments I have is thank you, Chris, for arranging all of this, and for the Recreation Department for doing that. It turned out to be a great visit. We actually got to see something that fits the aura of Peachtree City to get that structure covered. Both of those pools at Kedron will be covered, and I'm looking forward to seeing the results of the engineering before we go to the next step, Madam Mayor.
All right. Any other questions, comments? I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thanks very much. New agenda item 122501, extension of mechanical services agreement. Dave Borkowski.
Yes, good morning, Mayor and Council. Dave Borkowski, City Engineer. We're requesting a one-year extension of our current maintenance contract with Shoemate Mechanical. We've been working with Shoemate for a very long time. Since awarding the contract, they have provided excellent service for all of our preventative, routine, and even emergency mechanical systems, HVAC maintenance. They're one of the only contractors in the area that has the train certification that we require for our facilities. They also have basically over 25 years of familiarity and experience with all of our equipment. You know, they can practically QA stuff over the phone because they know so much about our systems. Most recently, with their expertise, they helped us get the new boiler system online for the Kedron pools. Without them, that would have been much more difficult. Therefore, we're recommending that we extend this contract for another year, and their price would be $177,500, and it reflects no increase in expenses since 2024. So we're getting a really good deal with Shoemate. So,
All right, thank you.
any questions?
Does this, quick question, Madam Mayor? Okay, quick question. This is just the service side of it. It's not replacement of parts or anything like that. If they go into the HVAC system and want to do some work in there, besides the service, are they including all the parts and pieces, or do we have to buy that separately?
It depends. If they come in to do their routine filter maintenance, you know, that's all covered. If we need to buy a new air conditioner, we would purchase that from them at additional cost.
So it's minor stuff that, you know, like filters and cleaning and
Correct.
just adjustments. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve new agenda item 25-201, extension of the mechanical services agreement with Shoemate in the amount of $177,500.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. New agenda item 122502, fiscal year 26, CVB budget amendment for vehicles. Good morning, Tyler.
Hi, Tyler.
Good morning. Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, Council.
Thank you,
If I
by
get
the
this
way.
turned up.
Thank you for the ornament.
Absolutely.
It's lovely.
Good, good, good. Well, you are probably asking yourselves why there's a budget amendment 2 months after the budget season started, but I wanted to take a public moment to tell you all Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. So
Thank you.
that is the
You too.
reason. This budget amendment is or was voted on by the CVB board 4-0 in favor. It is for up to $100,000 for up to 2 vehicles and 2 wraps for the CVB's use. This money, I did want to just kind of put on record that these reserve funds are not funded by Peachtree City residents, but they are funded by hotel motel tax, tourism and visitation. We currently do have a vehicle that is a 2020 that we have leased through the city, so that vehicle would be returned to Public Works for the city's use, and then we would just be purchasing our own for our uses moving forward. So.
Okay, I did wonder why this came to council.
Yeah.
It's approved by the CVB board. Is it in the charter?
Yeah, it is in the bylaws currently that anything over $20,000 that wasn't approved in the initial budget does have to come to council. So.
But it's from CVB
Yeah.
reserve fund.
Correct,
It's their
exactly.
money.
Exactly. It's a little bit of a nuance there.
Any
but-
other questions?
I have a comment or ask a question.
Yes.
You're going to buy 2 vehicles. I love it. You know,
Possibly.
You got people, yeah, possibly, if it comes out, the prices come out.
Yep.
And I'm assuming you're going to use this for shuttling people around when they want to, set up a program here, or they want to come and visit, and they want to set up, maybe do something at one of the hotels. Would you then just use that for kind of shuttling around the people to show them the city?
Yeah, so the main uses here would be exactly what you're saying. Actually, tomorrow I'm using our vehicle to go pick up somebody from the airport. They're a third-party meeting planner, have potentially 200 room nights, and are looking at different areas around Georgia. So I am personally picking her up from the airport, bringing her down to tour our hotels, and then taking her back to the hotel after we do lunch. So that's like a very specific example right there. And then also we do quite a bit of in-state travel as well for our various associations and involvement that we just have. So we use it for kind of both of those purposes.
Now, are we planning on putting in a decent, like an SUV or something like that, a little bit bigger car? Because if you're going to make that kind of travel and you have customers coming in, potential customers coming in to see our city, you want to have something comfortable for them to ride around in.
Yeah, currently it looks like more than likely it would be a Ford Explorer, so that the city can also, that's what they're used to working on and that sort of thing as well, so.
Good. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, I'll take a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve item number 122502 for fiscal year 2026 CVB, a budget amendment in the amount of $100,000.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thanks very
Thank
much.
you.
New agenda item 122503, part-time occupant protection specialist in our police department. Matt Myers, good morning.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, Council. This is probably a more elaborate title than what people may have been expecting, so I know that raised a couple eyebrows. People are curious, what is this? So I think everybody's probably familiar. We have a long-running program to do child seat inspections for anybody who needs them. So we get a lot of people come down to the police department. They want to know if they have their child seat installed correctly. We have a number of officers that are trained to do this. And they maintain a certification from a national organization called Safe Kids. And so getting that initial training and certification, there's a lot to it, actually. And then they have to maintain their certification through continuing education, through getting a certain number of checks, and then they have to do a lot of checks in front of an actual instructor so that they can get their recertification and keep doing it. So that's not changing. What's changing is that the person who checks off on our people and trains them is no longer going to be available. So we've been fortunate to have a resource available, somebody employed by the county health department who was an instructor who could check off on our people, was close by, and could help us do these things to maintain the certifications and maintain that resource. She's retiring at the end of the year, and we're not going to have any way to maintain continuity of the program by having a instructor or anybody nearby. So what we're going to do, if the council approves, is just simply create a part-time position for somebody who, with those credentials to just work, maybe 100 hours a year or something like that, doing training for our officers, helping out at car seat check events, so that we can maintain the continuity of the program. Our officers would still be really doing most of the work. This would be somebody kind of supplementing their work to do that and making sure they have the check-offs that they need to keep their certifications. Budget-wise, we actually can contain this. It's a very, very small expenditure. We can contain this within our currently budgeted FY26 part-time salaries budget. In future years, even if it was not contained within the current budget, we wouldn't project more than maybe a $2,500 or so annual impact for this person's added hours.
Wonderful. Council, can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve agenda item 12-25-03, part-time occupant protection specialist for the police department, with an unspecified dollar amount.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thanks very much. New agenda item 122504, consider termination of easement reserved by the former Development Authority on the NCR property. Mr. Meeker.
Mayor and council, I'm hoping my memo was somewhat self-explanatory. I know this was sort of a oddball request. I'm happy to answer questions, or do you want me to go into why this is on the agenda?
Can you give us the short version for the microphone and the kids out there?
Yes, short version was back in 1988, NCR bought property from the Peachtree City Development Authority, and in that agreement, an easement reservation was granted in favor of the former Development Authority. It had to do with ingress, egress. There was also language as to utility easements. That property is now being sold. The property's been developed. I'm going to guess that the reservation was there. This is a guess, was for interparcel access, but given that all the adjacent parcels have pretty much been developed, I don't know that it's needed, and there was a request from the seller, the current property owner, for us to consider lifting this easement, or basically canceling it or terminating it.
Okay.
And that's why it's on the agenda.
Council.
Of course, the other nutshell is the fact that under Georgia law, since the Development Authority was terminated, all the rights, duties, and responsibilities of that authority transfer to the city by operation of law.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions?
Does it cost us anything, Ted?
No.
No? Okay.
All right.
And I'm happy to phrase a motion.
You want to phrase
Yes,
a motion for us, please?
Okay. The motion would be to approve the termination of an easement as set forth in the agenda packet, subject to legal review. I'm going to add that, and then I'll explain that in a second.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second.
Quick explanation. We have a blanket termination of everything in here. It reserves both ingress, egress, and utilities. We're just trying to avoid any unintended consequences. There is a version that the attorney and I have circulated back and forth that reserves you to any utility easements that might be out there. The city does not have any, but there are perhaps other, whether it's electrical or water, gas, and so forth. I just don't want to harm our friends. So we're trying to double check that as we move forward. But either way, the city's aspect will be done.
All right, thank you. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. I'm hoping that means there's something exciting coming in at NCR one of
Yes.
these days. We'll hope for that. New agenda item 122505, burn ordinance amendment. Suzanne Brown.
Yes, I just want to say thank you to everybody who showed up to speak about the burn ordinance, and also to the people at home who wrote to us. I've heard about this long and hard since we changed the ordinance in May, with specific regard to the fact that a lot of people were impacted, and I don't think we fully explored how we were going to impact by doing a total ban of the burn permit process. So I've reintroduced this because my question is, and I took the fire marshal's presentation and I reworked it a little bit, so those of us who have seen it before will recognize a lot of it. My question is, can we minimize the negative impact of the burning by limiting burning to lots larger than 1 acre? And I chose 1 acre because living on a half an acre I can somewhat control my own property, but I viewed that if I had twice as much property, I was thinking that was where I would end up drawing the line, that it was going to be really prohibitive, that I was going to need commercial grade equipment in order to do it. So under the prior version of the ordinance that was in place prior to May the 15th, burning or burying, a permit was required for each day of burning. Only yard debris was burned, no trash. 75 cubic feet max burn pile. No permit was required for cooking or entertainment fires. And no permits were issued during statewide burn ban, which runs from the beginning of May, the first day of May, until the end of September, or October 1st, basically. And that was what was in place. We now have a year-round ban because we changed it. So the statewide burn ban is imposed by the Georgia Environmental Protection Department from May 1st to September 30th. It affects 54 counties in Georgia. It includes Fayette County, and it was due to pollutants, not because of fire danger. And that's kind of important to keep in mind because a lot of people think that the burning that was being done posed some sort of a fire risk to houses, etc. Citizens went to so the process under the prior version was that citizens would go to the city website to get a permit. The permit stated the rules that each burn applicant had to follow. The permit had to be on hand. The fire had to meet specifications on the permit. The fire had to be attended at all times, and the fire had to be extinguished at dark. So with the old requirements, an open fire had to be 50 feet from any structure, including fences, decks, and outbuildings. A burn container or barrel had to be 25 feet from any structure, including fences, decks, and outbuildings. All fires had to be at least 25 feet from the wood line, and the wood line would be any wooded area that is not an island. Under the current requirements, burn permits had to be obtained, forgive that, I said current requirements. Burn permits had to be obtained daily and were good only on the date issued. Permits expired at sunset each day. Burn piles could not be larger than 5 feet by 5 feet and 3 feet high, and only the burning of garden trash, yard debris, and brush were permitted. The burning of garbage, rubbish, tires, household items, construction debris, treated lumber, adhesives, paints, stains, plastics, foam, and any other products was prohibited. The Georgia Forestry Department stopped issuing permits for banning in 2021. Only restrictions are imposed by cities or counties. And they put out an advisory for safe practices on their website. And note, per the fire marshal, when he did his presentation, I asked him, and we never had a burn permit fire that spread to a structure. So how many residents used our permit process? Here's the data that was presented in May of 2025 by Fire Marshal Fellman. So the total permits that were issued in the 24 months prior to the ban being put in place, there were 4,881 permits, and in the 12 months prior were 1,423. 1,509 addresses in the city obtained burn permits in the 24 months prior to the total ban, and 542 in the last 12 months when burning was permitted. So 50%, 2,440 of the permits issued were issued to 137 addresses in the 24 months prior, and 57% of the permits, 811 of them, were issued to just 135 addresses in the past, or the prior 12 months. When Fire Marshal Fellman brought this in front of council and did his presentation, he offered us two options. Option one was that we would have a total ban, and that change would be a total ban of the outdoor burning of yard debris within the city limits, complete burn ban. Option two, he actually proposed to allow burning on large lots. Now, in his presentation, and I included the documents in our agenda packet, he did not specify a size. He left it open to a decision that would be made by the city council. But it would ban burning outdoor burning of yard debris on lots under a certain size. So as I looked at it, this is a square representation of what 1 acre would represent. That, and I realize I have my measurement on the very top is incorrect, forgive that, it should be 208.71. And I will tell you this, I sent my PowerPoint presentation to Jasmine a couple days ago, and somehow the whole file got corrupted and I had to spend time correcting it. And obviously there's 2 or 3 things I didn't get fixed. Anyway, a 1 acre lot is approximately 208.71 feet square. Most of the lots that we have here in Peachtree City, however, are not just square lots. We have a lot of rectangular properties. Some are what we call flag poles, where there's a flag lot, where it's a long driveway and then acreage, recessed off the road. We have a lot of pie shape lots. But roughly, an acre consists of 43,560 square feet. Here in Peachtree City, and these numbers actually should be modified just a little bit, I did ask Justin to give me the number of 1 acre lots that we have. When Jeff Fellman did his presentation, he started with 2 acre lots. So I backtracked to Justin and asked him to give me the 1.0 and 1.5 acres. And then we realized we also had to include, we have some limited use residential lots, so it should be about 10 or 20 more than that. So approximately, let's say 1,720 lots are residential 1 acre lots here in Peachtree City. If you move up to 1.5, it reduces the number down to 889 and so forth. And the rest of the chart was what Fire Marshal Fellman had presented in the past. I'm focused on the fact that it's the 1,700 and approximately 20 lots that I'm saying we should allow to have burn permits. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. My fault, sorry. So when we look at the total number of single-family residential lots, as I said, there's a minor adjustment of this. There are 13,506 residential lots. It includes 1,787 limited use residential lots. Now that's total lots regardless of size. The LUR zoning can include some commercial lots which are also mixed use or multifamily. Without the LUR zoning, it would be only a total of 11,719 properties. So that's the total number of lots that have residential structures on it. Even if we look at the 13,000, if we go to 1 acre residential lots, it's going to drop it down to approximately 1,720 properties. So by excluding that, the LUR lots and the others, we're really going to get the numbers down very low. This was presented by Fire Marshal Fellman also, and I have a couple of comments to make about this. I did ask several questions when we had the presentation back in May. This shows the top 10 addresses that by burn permit count. So I jokingly referred to some of these particular properties as serial burners. You can see that the property on Mockingbird is 1.36 acres, and they had basically 24 fire permits issued to them. But the very important thing to note is that Mockingbird is not inside the city limits of Peachtree City. So we actually had somebody living on the east side of Red Wine Road who has a Peachtree City mailing address who thought they were in the city and was obtaining 24 burn permits. So when we banned burning, we did not ban their burning at all, because they don't live in Peachtree City. They could be burning now. I don't know. They're outside of Peachtree City. But what I really wanted to point out for the remainder of all of these lots, every one of these lots, with the exception of one on Whitfield, is less than an acre. So that shows you that in the past, prior to us banning the burning, we didn't have too many of the really large lots burning. We had a lot of the lots with smaller pieces of property for the most part, smaller than, an acre, who were doing the greatest volume of burning. And so no wonder we had people coming forward saying, there's a problem with the smoke. Because when you're burning on small lots, you're more likely to impact your neighbors as opposed to larger lots. So when only 542 addresses, just 4% of our total number of 13,506 eligible addresses got permits in 12 months, a total of 1,423 permits were issued in 12 months. So 542 addresses received a total of 1,423 permits. If you play around with the math, and after the chart that we just looked at, a lot of people probably only burn once a year, maybe twice. Then you have other people who seem to like to burn a lot. The address with the most permits was not even inside Peachtree City, as I stated. So my question is, did we make a bigger issue out of burning than actually existed? Banning burning on lots smaller than an acre should protect neighbors from smoke, and in most cases, because houses are much further apart. The fire marshal proposed a terrific option that we never fully explored before we voted to ban burning. Restricting burning to large lots of 1 acre or greater takes away the option to burn in most of the neighborhoods in Peachtree City. It would remove the issue of smoke from the more dense single-family residential housing areas, because they don't have 1 acre lots. But it would allow owners of large properties to burn debris that is not easily or cheaply hauled away. If we reinstate burning, but only on larger lots, it will allow our citizens with larger lots to properly manage the amount of combustible debris on their lot. By burning it on site, which is cost effective, it reduces the wildfire risk and encourages owners to control how much debris accumulates on their property. It's not practical for them to haul away the debris themselves. Many of them would need commercial grade equipment to deal with the volume of debris they have, or have to pay someone else to haul away the debris, which is costly. And with the speakers we had here today, I think that was echoed very well. So then the question is, how many fires will we have if we eliminate lots with less than an acre? With the 1,700 lots out of the 13,000 that exist in the city, that means only 12.6% of all residential lots will even be eligible to burn. In other words, 88% of our property owners will no longer be allowed to burn. That's almost a complete burn ban, but it accommodates the issue of large lots. So I suggest that we amend the burn ordinance to allow owners of lots that are 1 acre or larger to obtain burn permits with all the same guidelines that existed prior to May the 15th, 2025. When we voted to ban burning, this will show our citizens that we acknowledge the difficulty they suffer with the total ban while minimizing smoke issues in more dense housing areas. Essentially, the ordinance had been working for many years. A handful of burn permits were issued in neighborhoods with small lots, and that negatively impacted a few residents who complained. Reinstating burn permits with restrictions that only properties that are 1 acre or larger may burn debris should work for everyone. So, any questions?
I'll go next. We made the decision in May to ban burning after at least 2 public city council meetings in which families paraded through this room, brought their children, and we had long talks about childhood asthma. Even our fire marshal stated the issue is not risk to burning your house down or risk to burning your neighbors' backyards down the risk, and the concern was smoke. And he stated on camera in our May 8th meeting that even 3 acres limit would not solve the problem of the smoke that is wafting. Council explored this thoroughly. We listened to all the input in person and in emails, and we made a unanimous decision to ban burning. That ban has now been in effect 2.5 months, basically, because it started October 1st when the state's ban was lifted. So something that's been in place only 2.5 months has not even had time to germinate yet. One of the cardinal rules when we go to GMA trainings for best practices and proper conduct of council members, and you know this, Mr. Holland, because of you do all the training. Number one, our job is to be good listeners, do our homework, and make good decisions. And corollary to that is move on. Make a good decision and move on. We do not backtrack after only 2 months of a new policy. I do think that there is an adjustment to be made, and we're all getting used to something new. We make decisions that affect people's lives and the way they do things. I acknowledge that. That's why we spent so much time on this. Nothing was unexplored, and the issue is smoke. And our fire marshal made it clear that any lot size, even a 3-acre limit, would not eliminate the prevailing problem of smoke wafting. All those families came in here to share their tales of woe, very impactful on their children, on their families. And I am not in a position right now, after only 2.5 months. It's possible that in the new year we get a council of 5. We might be able to discuss new implementation strategies for yard debris. And I will look forward to that. I think we should have further conversations, but to change it now on a unanimous council vote is inappropriate, and it is not best council practices. So I just do not support it.
Any comment?
Yeah, so we had this in the packet, but I didn't see this presentation in the packet. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so there was some information included that I was able to review, but I haven't seen the entirety of this presentation until just now. So this raises some questions for me. One is, in considering all of this, did you go back to the fire department and discuss anything with them?
No, I went back to the fire marshal's presentation and looked at it, and when I realized that option number 2 that he had proposed was just to limit fires to above a certain size, and having listened to a lot of citizens in the last 6 months since we put this in place who've been impacted by it, most of the people who were complaining to me have 1 acre or larger lots. And that's why I said, well, 1 acre is enough to put a fire in somebody's backyard and pretty much keep it there and not necessarily impact the entire neighborhood.
Okay. I recall this the same thing, but there were other things I also remember from his presentation. One of those being that with the permit application process, the system wasn't set up in such a way that would allow it to vary between the certain properties of certain sizes, and it wasn't set up in that way.
We may have to, if we put this in place, we may have to come up with some sort of a way to have the GIS data identify a list of addresses that would qualify. Or we would have to have people actually go through a more formal permit process or your application process, have somebody look at it and just say yes or no, can they burn? Some of the properties, if you look at the Q Public Net and you look at the report that you can open and access, a lot of properties don't specifically say exactly how many acres they have. Mine doesn't. I mean, I've done the manipulation, using the ruler and try to come up with how many square feet I have. And that is the same kind of a process that Justin or Chris or somebody, could actually go through to get somebody to have their address actually placed on an appropriate list, and then only allow the permits to be issued to people who are pre-qualified.
Okay, I would be interested to know if that is a possibility.
Oh, I think it is.
And then in this, I think I would have appreciated being able to have that map that shows where these lots are located within our city. We had an email prior to this meeting beginning that talked about people who would walk around the lake and and then have to go through smoke-filled areas. So if you have people who are using public areas that are highly used by our citizens, and if those areas are close to these larger lots, I think that would give me a little bit of pause. So location, I think, would be something that I would be interested in knowing. Hold on, let me see my other questions. Oh, and then the days of burning is what would they, so we have all of these citizens that cannot burn at all, and do these lots go back to they get to burn as many days as they want?
Well, it would be as many days as they want, but it would be only when burning is allowed between the, basically October the 1st and May the 1st.
But if they could pull permits, they could still pull permits every single day of the burn season.
They could, or we could limit how many times they could pull a permit.
Okay.
Keeping in mind that right now, people can still burn in a fire pit. You can have just as much smoke coming from a fire pit as you would have from an open fire. In fact, I dare say if you've got a big enough fire and it's really chugging away, it's not very smoky. It's burning pretty hot and everything's going up.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is leaves cause more smoke than the actual, logs burning.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
So I mean, it's, we're still allowing people to burn in fire pits. That could be just the same, the same as what we had before. But what we did was pretty much put in place something that severely impacts a lot of our landowners, and I don't want for them to end up stockpiling the wood debris on their lots, which creates a bigger fire risk. I mean, to throw out, the fires in Pacific Palisades, there were two big things that they talked about: poor forest management and the lack of the water to fight the fire. So hopefully we don't have the lack of the water, but poor forest management could very easily become a problem in just a few years for certain properties. It doesn't take very long to accumulate too much debris stacked up.
Yeah.
And as the one speaker said, you can have, all kinds of rodents and stuff moving into piles of wood that you leave stacked up on your property.
Yeah, and I agree
So-
with a lot of that. I think we heard today very good comments pertaining to how this does severely impact some of our neighbors. And you asked a really good question in this presentation. You asked, did we make a bigger burden, what did I write? I was trying to write it down really quick. A bigger issue than already existed, I think, is essentially what the question said. And I would say the decision that we made does severely impact some of our citizens, but I don't think we made a bigger issue than what already existed, because the issue that existed before was people were in their own homes not being able to breathe. And I would say that issue for me is the bigger issue than debris. But what I will also say is there are questions here that I don't have answers for right now. And if I have those questions and I had more time to review and there was more discussion, I could possibly be open to making tweaks to this. It won't be today.
What I'll offer up is, having looked at certain areas, there are major neighborhoods that across the board, every lot in a neighborhood is going to be less than an acre. And then there are places like on the very southern end of, say, Plantera, where there are a few big pie-shaped lots that might qualify. But for the most part, like the northern part is not going to qualify because they're going to come up with less than an acre per lot. Neighborhoods like the estates, they have, and a good rule of thumb is, they have septic systems. So they are all 1 acre lots. So you would have some neighborhoods like the estates, Avalon Park, some of the others, even out in the area where Mr. Huff lives, those particular lots are all more than 1 acre on his street. So yeah, there are little pockets where you can say, yeah, all of these are gonna qualify. And then there's other neighborhoods where you say, all of them are not gonna qualify. Then you're gonna have a neighborhood where you're gonna have maybe 4 or 5 out of 50. I mean, my neighborhood's not gonna be able to burn. All the lots, yours is not. You know, because every lot in my neighborhood is pretty much a half an acre or less.
That's why I say I'd like to see a map.
I don't know that.
I think that there's-
Justin, do you know if a map could actually be generated that would show that?
Yeah,
To
it could.
highlight it?
Yeah, it could.
So, I mean, that would be something that we could actually,
And I'll say this, like, I've had people approach me on both sides of this. I've had people who have come and said, thank you so much for making a complete burn ban. I have had personal friends who have said, Laura, why did you support this? And so it's not an easy answer, and I'm not gonna pretend that after one presentation, it's easy to change it either. So I think we went through a good process where we deliberated, we made a decision, that's only been in place for 2 months. I think it's fair to give it more time. I can obviously see that we have citizens here who have been affected, and I hear them, and I acknowledge that the burdens that they have are real burdens. And I don't want them to be burdened. I would like to possibly make a change, but I wanna make sure that it's done in a process where we're all contributing and looking at different options.
let me bring one other thing up, though. If we delay for too long, we're gonna go back into the statewide burn ban timeframe after the 1st of May. So if some of these property owners are going to be allowed to burn, we can't just sit back and watch things.
Well, could we,
Whatever
as a
for too long.
council, give direction to our city manager to possibly gather a little bit more information on what something like this would look like and discuss it at our retreat, where we can all sit down for a larger amount of time and maybe hash this out a little bit more?
If we're gonna look at 1 acre lots, I wanna look at 3 acre lots.
I think it's fair. That's what I'm saying. Like, we can look at hopefully different scenarios, or possibly other things that the city can do to help our citizens, and what that might look like. So I think it's a conversation worth having.
I think the problem is, if you look at 3 acre lots, you're taking the number of people with 3 acre lots. From the 1,720 that have 1 acre lots, you're taking it down to just 155 with 3 acre lots.
Yeah.
That's not gonna solve the problem that the people are having with 1 acre lots. Just because you could have a 3 acre lot that's mostly cleared and not have a tree or debris problem. But a 1 acre lot with a lot of trees has that problem. So I think if we go with a 3 acre size, we're not gonna solve the problem for an enormous section of our population.
All right, I'm willing to have future conversations in the new year. Mr. Holland, do you have any last comments?
Yes, I have quite a few comments. Could you put that slide back up, Councilwoman Brown, on the numbers of households or acreage? There we go. That's the one. So we're looking at 1,720, I guess is the number, and I think that's quite a few. But as you go down the list here, when you get down to the 3 acre, you're at 155. Now, maybe I'll do a little channeling of the great compromiser called Henry Clay and say maybe we should do this in stepwise, kind of taking a little bit of what Councilwoman Brown said and the mayor, is that do we want to jump at this right now and go it all the way down to 1 acre? Or do we just take a step right now? And for those 155 lots that are 3 acres and larger, those are the big boys in our city. There's only a few of them. The amount of burning that they're going to do, maybe we'd have to put special days. Hey, you can only burn in 2 days in this month, and that kind of thing. So there's a little bit of a compromise on the days and times that they can burn. But this is not a big burden to make a small step to say anyone above 3 acres, go ahead. And then I think what you're saying, Councilwoman Brown, is that maybe we need to look at it going down even lower. And I think that's where both the mayor and Councilwoman Johnson said, we need to deliberate properly on this. We need to let it go a little bit further down the road before we bring in, 2 acre, 2.5 acre, and 1 acre lots. And I think a stepwise going from where we are today with complete burn, not complete ban, to say anybody over 3 acres, we're only allowing 155 lots all over the city to burn. And I suggest that that might be a first good step that we could make, and then hold the rest in abeyance until the council gets back to 5 and look at this maybe in February or March. That would be my suggestion, to kind of compromise all of the issues, because I think Councilwoman Johnson is right. We need some more information on some of this stuff. We don't have it, and hopefully, City Manager, you can get those details that were asked for. So those are my comments, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Brown, part of this is no action is required at this time. So I think we're all in agreement. We'll talk about it in the new year.
I'll just say one thing. As you look at those numbers, if you only allow 155 lots of 3 acres or more to burn, then you're turning a deaf ear to the 1,500 property owners who have 1 acre or more and are suffering. But let's also keep in mind, not every one of these property owners has ever had a fire that they've burned. Now, I don't know, can we pull up historical permit data and look at how many people of different sizes were getting permits? Justin, do we know if we can do that? As he's looking at everybody else going.
If we have the addresses, we could, yeah. Which we do.
Well, it's in the permit records. I mean, those should still be on file, correct, Chief?
Yes, so as long as we have the addresses, we should be able to cross-reference it with GIS and figure out what we're looking at on parcel size.
Madam Mayor, would you entertain a motion to compromise and just say at this time, a motion to allow 3 acres and larger to burn, be exempt from the ban, and then look at this as you've suggested, give it some time down the road, and then look at the rest of this and see if there's any further adjustment that we could make?
Absolutely not. Our fire marshal stood in this room and told us that even a 3-acre limit would not solve the problem that we were trying to solve, and that is smoke wafting. If we want to get the word out and parade all those families back in here again, spin our wheels, revisit something we just passed and that has only been in place for 2 months, no, I am not in favor of that at all. Mr. Felmett made it perfectly clear that even a 3-acre limit would not solve the problem of the smoke wafting. Those families came in here, we explored every angle of this through at least 2 meetings and made a unanimous council decision. I am not interested in changing it today. It's new, it's in its infancy. Necessity is the mother of invention. We need to explore other options for our citizens, and I think we can do that very capably in the new year.
Councilwoman Johnson, would you entertain a motion for 3 acres or support that and do it now and then look at this later?
It will not be done today. Is it something I could support? Possibly. But I don't think right now, and maybe Chief Murphy can help, I hope that with this being on the agenda, hopefully you have the ability to answer a few questions, but I don't recall that the system that we use for burn permits, that it was able to be set up very easily to be divided by
No, it's not.
acreage.
It was just collecting basic data, that we would have to go back and go through. And that's kind of how we got to these numbers originally for you, is like going through spreadsheets of the actual data and breaking everything out ourselves, because the permit system could not do that.
So I would just say, based on that, we don't have the capability right now to enforce this. And hopefully if we talk about it in retreat, maybe it's something that we can bring to the February meeting and pass, and we still have a few months to burn. Because I would love people who have debris piling up to be able to do something with it. So could we do something expeditiously? I think so. Is it today? No.
Then I'll make a motion that we table this until the first meeting of February so that I'll give the fire and the city manager enough time to look at this, and then we'll have another discussion in the February 1st meeting on this topic.
I'd second that motion.
Now, the February 1st meeting,
Whatever the first
first-
date is, the first meeting in February, whatever that is.
we
Our
also
workshop.
don't have our retreat.
It's probably gonna be the
dates.
last week in January, probably.
I mean, I'll support this, knowing, but like, I think we both all know that our retreat dates aren't completely set yet.
Yeah.
So there's a chance we may have to move it
It
again.
could be a short discussion, the
Yes.
first meeting
It-
in February.
Okay.
I don't mind that.
But I want to get it at least on the docket so that we know it's coming.
Yeah,
And
there's
that's
just
the
more
reason for the
questions than-
motion. We can also amend those dates and stuff, but let's just make sure
I have a
it's out there.
motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Public hearings, we have none. Council staff topics, I have none. Anybody else?
I
have none.
Hold on, changing papers here. I just want to I would like to point out that, the Wreaths Across America wreath laying ceremony is this Saturday, December the 13th. The Fayette Women's Club does their wreath laying at the cemetery in Fayetteville, Camp Memorial Cemetery. The ceremony starts at noon. If you would like to attend, please arrive early. Bring your children, bring scouts, bring veterans, bring your friends, bring your relatives. Immediately after the ceremony, they'll place 900 wreaths on the graves of veterans, and so that they're not forgotten, the person laying the wreath will clearly say their name and thank them for their service. And it is a tear-jerking kind of ceremony, so I'd like to encourage everybody to come. The other thing is, I'd like to state that I want to bring an item onto the agenda in January, the first meeting, and that is that we re-examine the 3-minute time limit for public comment, and I'd like to discuss that at the first meeting. So there's my notification that we'll put that on the agenda.
Okay, anybody else? Mr. Holland?
No, I have nothing.
All right, executive session, Mr. Meeker?
Yes, and I added litigation, but we don't need that today, just personnel and real estate.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
A second, sorry.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are in executive session. Thanks very much.